Now, I know you heard the expression in terms of too good to be true. When it comes to Bitcoin, this is definitely going to transform our lives in the future. But there are a few things about Bitcoin that even myself, I do not like. And I'm going to be sharing with you a few things that maybe even yourself have a little bit of concern and hesitant in terms of getting involved with Bitcoin. Want to know what they are? Stick around. What's up, Crypto Land? Black Crypto here, bringing another cryptocurrency video where I talk about the basics of Bitcoin and everything else cryptocurrency. So when it comes to Bitcoin, you've heard a whole lot about it, possibly in terms of the benefits of Bitcoin and also the advantages of Bitcoin. I've even did a video right here on my channel in terms of the 8 advantages when it comes to Bitcoin. I'll leave a link in the description below. But did you know that there are several disadvantages to Bitcoin that you might want to be aware of yourself? So that's why I'm going to give you the 8 disadvantages of Bitcoin to help you understand Bitcoin in terms of understanding not only the benefit but possibly the risk when it comes to Bitcoin. So here they are. Number 1 is barrier to entry. When it comes to Bitcoin, there is a steep learning curve when it comes to you understanding exactly what Bitcoin is. And that's because it's very technical. It's highly technical in terms of new form of technology. So when it comes to you getting involved with Bitcoin, for instance, you might be young and you might have grew up in terms of this technology age, but have you ever tried to explain to your grandparents how to do something in terms of using a remote control or how to use their smartphone for the first time in terms of apps or video conferencing or anything like that? For them, it's very daunting because they didn't grow up in that age, and for them, it's a learning curve for them to understand what does all of this mean. And also, in terms of that, there is very poor support. Generally speaking, if you want to learn about Bitcoin, you have to do something like what you're doing is by watching a video like this or going to somebody and asking, hey, do you know anything about Bitcoin? Can you teach me a little bit about Bitcoin in terms of how to use it? It's not really as easy as fiat currency in terms of just taking that paper money. You know the amount on that bill and you just go ahead and buy some goods and services. It's not that easy. Also, there is an investment risk when it comes to you getting involved with cryptocurrency, because a lot of people who are getting involved with cryptocurrency today also have in mind in terms of trading or trying to make some kind of money from it. Unlike your fiat currency, when you get that money, you're not worried about going on the Forex exchange to make some money or how should I invest that money. You're just simply using that money for goods and services or for your bills. Not only that, what you have to keep in mind when it comes to being highly technical and you trying to understand what Bitcoin is there is a lot of new jargon. Cryptocurrency, blockchain, digital ledger. All of these are words that you have to now understand and get yourself familiar with just to start using Bitcoin. Number 2 is volatility. When it comes to Bitcoin, Bitcoin has a high trading volume but with a small market cap. And what this means for the price of Bitcoin is that it takes bigger swings up and down with less money involved. So if you think about the market cap of Bitcoin, which is just under $200 billion, and you compare it to, for instance, gold, which its market cap is $9 trillion, if Bitcoin had that market cap, then the volatility would be a whole lot more stable. Now, that also gives a lot of people reason not to get involved with Bitcoin because of this volatility and investment risk. Also, you need to keep in mind, because the amount in terms of the market cap is so small in terms of just a few $billion, you have a whole lot of market and price manipulation. So if you think about companies out there that are trillion-dollar companies or multi-billion-dollar companies, or a lot of individuals which are billionaires, they can single-handedly control or manipulate the market at any given time. And this is one of the reasons why you also see that volatility in the market. Number 3 is age. When it comes to Bitcoin, Bitcoin is just over 11 years old, making it relatively new technology and a new asset class. So in all honesty, we're still in the early adopters phase in that we don't know exactly what Bitcoin is and the potential for Bitcoin in the future. But one of the things that you have to remember when it comes to Bitcoin is, yes, this is a lack of trust when it comes to us getting involved with Bitcoin, because we heard so many things about it in terms of being used by criminals or in terms of scams, for instance. But let's compare that to the internet, something that you know all about. The internet is very young as well. When it comes to the internet in terms of the World Wide Web has only been around since 1989. We're talking about the 1990s to the 2000s, which is the Web 1.0, and we had a lot of static web pages and forums. And then in terms of 2000s until now, we have that Web 2.0 where you have a lot of user-generated content like social media. So when it comes to Bitcoin in comparison to a lot of other technologies, yes, this is very new. I mean, of course, the comparison is using it now as a form of currency, something that you hold very dear in terms of money. So Bitcoin is fairly young, and this is one of the reasons why you have to have a little bit of concern. Number 4 is cash. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin, one of its biggest disadvantages is cash itself. And that's because cash is still king right now. In terms of the market cap for Bitcoin, we already said that the market cap for Bitcoin is very, very small in comparison to cash or gold or any other asset. And right now, you still need cash to exchange for Bitcoin. So until the market cap of Bitcoin is very big and it can sustain our economy in terms of people using it and do not have to go back to cash, I mean, that is going to be one of the biggest disadvantages for Bitcoin itself. Also, in terms of its volatility for Bitcoin right now, that makes a lot of people use Bitcoin as an investment vehicle. So when you get higher highs with Bitcoin, people cash out their Bitcoin into cash all over again, and then they use their cash. Hey Crypto Land, I hope you're enjoying this list of disadvantages of Bitcoin. What I want you to do right now is to make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified anytime I release any new videos right here on this channel. Now let's get back to that list. And number 5 is Bitcoin is easily replaceable. Right now, the Bitcoin dominance sits at around 65% as of this video in comparison to other cryptocurrencies. And generally what that means is that there is a whole lot more money in Bitcoin as compared to those other cryptocurrencies. But one of the things that you have to remember that Bitcoin is new technology, but there are other cryptocurrencies that's coming about that's trying to take the spot from Bitcoin, not in terms of only a form of currency, but in terms of technology as a whole. And they're doing that because Bitcoin's development is fairly slow. There's not a lot of upgrades that come to Bitcoin as often as you really want there to be. Bitcoin takes its time in terms of making updates to it because they want to make sure that those updates are rock solid, because generally speaking, these other cryptocurrencies follow suit. But there are several other cryptocurrencies out there that are developing a whole lot more faster, a whole lot more rapidly, because they have a larger development team behind it, or they have a bigger multi-billion-dollar company that's backing these other cryptocurrencies. But as of right now, that's one of the things that we definitely have to watch out for, because at any given time, that top spot can be taken away. Number 6 is no refunds. I'm sorry guys, but when it comes to Bitcoin, all sales are final. Do not ask back for your money. Well, I mean, in the real world, we're kind of used to this when it comes to certain goods that we get or services that you know that you can't get a refund, because once you use that particular product, you can't return it. But when it comes to Bitcoin, in terms of using money, in terms of sending money to somebody, you can't get a refund. For instance, when you go and send a PayPal, you can kind of dispute that transaction and get a refund back. But when it comes to Bitcoin in this immutable nature, when it comes to blockchain, all sales are final. Once you send off that transaction, there's no way to recall it back. The only way to get your money back is to go to that particular person that you sent the money to and say, hey, can I get my money back? But if that person does not want to send you that money back, there is nothing you can do. There's no way to force them to send that transaction back in terms of you getting your money back. Now, there is a little bit of silver lining, because there are a lot of companies that's trying to come about to start facilitating these payments, just like a PayPal in the real world. There are some companies out there that are trying to facilitate a payment processor so that you can go through them when you're making any kind of payments. That is something to be seen in the future, but as of right now, when it comes to using Bitcoin, it is immutable and there's no way to get a refund. Number 7 is reputation. I mean, for some people, reputation is everything. And of course, why believe the truth when the lie is a little bit more entertaining? And when it comes to Bitcoin, in the early days especially, you always heard about Bitcoin being used for criminal activities or on the black market and the dark web. So because of that, you have a lot of people that are very hesitant in terms of getting involved with Bitcoin because of the reputation of Bitcoin and where it came from. Now, in all honesty, that is not the truth in terms of Bitcoin. It did not come from those things. It just so happened that you had a lot of people using Bitcoin in that particular way, just like criminals today use regular fiat currency. So for Bitcoin, when it comes to its reputation, it's a little bit iffy, and this is something of a little bit concern for a lot of people. And number 8 is usability. When it comes to Bitcoin, Bitcoin is a piece of technology, and that means that it's 100% digital. Now, with it being 100% digital, that means what happens if there is no access to internet? Well, you can't use Bitcoin. You can't record any transactions to the blockchain because you do not have access to the internet. So what does this mean for the future of Bitcoin, and what happens if we have some kind of event happen when we have no internet? Well, there are a lot of solutions that are being worked on right now in terms of, for instance, satellite-based internet, or you have Google and Facebook that are all both fighting in terms of making global internet a thing of the future. So hopefully in the future we'll see a lot more accessibility when it comes to using Bitcoin. But as of right now, that is a very big disadvantage, because if you do not have access to your phone, your smartphone, or you run out of the internet at a particular time because you walk through a dead spot, that is a very big problem. So there you have it, guys. Those are the 8 disadvantages when it comes to Bitcoin. Number 1 is this barrier to entry, which means that you have a steep learning curve. Number 2 is this volatility. That price goes up and down at any given time. Number 3 is this age. It's only about 11 years old, making it new technology. Number 4 is cash. Cash, unfortunately, is still king right now. Number 5 is this easily replaceable. At any given time, another cryptocurrency can take the number 1 spot away from Bitcoin. Number 6 is there's no refunds. I'm sorry, but all sales are final. Number 7 is this reputation. Unfortunately, Bitcoin has had a shady past. Number 8 is usability. What happens if you do not have any internet? You can't use Bitcoin. Guys, so do you think these are reasons enough in terms of disadvantages to stop you from getting involved with Bitcoin? Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about these disadvantages, and let me know what your concerns are when it comes to Bitcoin. I'm Black Crypto. Thank you for checking out another cryptocurrency video. Make sure you hit that like button to help me get this video recommended out to everybody. And also, you know exactly what to do. Hit the subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified anytime I release any new videos right here on my channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.